Great. That's been said. There's no need for a response. I just want to make sure that I state that there. Great. So let's move into today. Today the topic at hand was renewal culture, right? Um, I think we can play in a couple of different ways. The let me go ahead. What I'll do is I'll set the frame for renewal culture, and then we'll enter into the conversation as we need to. It could, and it could be, yeah. Let's just start with that. So right now we're going through a really interesting period where the ability to be canceled comes up, and I think that like it's important to take some time to just kind of define like what do I mean by canceled in this part here. To be canceled would be like your brand, your name, whatever it is, to actually be kind of boycotted throughout the social world, throughout just out in the world, as like, from this person, from now on, this person, this brand, we're just boycotting them point blank. And then we get into cancel culture. And then I had a conversation with some friends around this. And for me, there was a distinction between like canceling and cancel culture. I think it's important to bring that distinction in. The cancel culture portion, canceling is the act of boycotting, let's call it that, in a broad state here. And calling, and not just boycotting, but calling forth others to also participate in it. Right? Cancel culture is the culture of what I would define as, if it's something that if you don't like, then you call on others to boycott it. So it's the cultural movement, the cultural like experience of choosing to cancel things overall. Right? Does that make sense? Does that distinction make sense there?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I thought it was the distinction ended up being important for me, where it's like there's one thing to cancel things, and there's another thing to cancel it because it's the culture of canceling. It's one thing to say like, no, this is something that should be canceled, and another thing to be like, well, don't cancel me, or you're going to cancel. Like it's like for it to just be simply what's in the air, where like we can go about and cancel just because, or it's because it's a thing that we do, right? And so the conversation for me is less about like canceling or cancel culture, but really the space for us in the Will Joy movement to look at, is there something more powerful? Is there something else that we can add to the mix, at least, beyond canceling? And the thought that came to mind here was like, well, if I wasn't canceling something, what would I be doing? I'll be renewing something. I'll be coming in and giving it like new life, be calling attention to something that really should actually be brought forth into light even further, helping to take these things that have been canceled and saying, okay, what do we need to do in order to have you be renewed out in the world? And I think that can apply the idea of a culture of that, where we're actually going around and we're actively looking to lift things up, as opposed to a culture that is that's in the space of canceling things. That to me felt like it'd be like a really interesting space to explore and to dive into here with us here. All that being said, this space is not the intellectual, interesting, hypothetical conversations there. That's not really what this space like thrives on. Like we can have like, it's an interesting construct, renewal culture, cancer culture, all that. It's all made up though. I think the elements here that would be really meaningful and enjoyable for me is to look at this within ourselves, to see what is it that within us we've been canceling. What is it within us that like could use some space for renewal? And as I lean into that, I see some elements of renewal coming in within me around, I had canceled my background as an actuary. I'd canceled my background of like being mathematically inclined, of forecasting, of predicting, of modeling, of being in spreadsheets and so on and so forth. And now I'm looking to bring that back as and renewing it in a meaningful way within the business as there's some certain things that actually get automated and things that I actually rely on the capabilities of my Excel experience to make possible. It allows me to actually create different systems. So we can explore that a little bit further, but I wanted to set up a space here around renewals for ourselves and to give ourselves a chance to be able to explore a bit of what we've been canceling for in our life, either personally or in our world. And then from that conversation of the world that we have influence over, we can make any other kind of connections and drawings to a larger mirror, a larger picture there. So let me pause there. Let me pause and just check in with you overall, Mary, as we enter this group here. Does anything come alive in you as I describe that? Is anything like, is there any energy? Does that feel like a fun conversation for you? If not, we can choose something. We can choose to create this space however we choose to create it.
It's the World Joy Movement. Yeah. What was your greatest insight from this conversation? And if you want to come and be a part of a conversation like this live, it's really simple. Just go to beworldjoy.com and come introduce yourself and let's take the conversation to the next level because you're there now. All right, let's play.